Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Okay, guys, I got another sad one. So many of you guys may remember the Turpin family in 2018, where Jordan Turpin, who was 17 at the time, escaped from their childhood home, and contacted police, who ended up rescuing them from the severely abusive parents that they were with. The children ranged from 2 to 29 and they spent most of their time indoors. They were regularly beaten, starved, and chained to their beds or locked in cages or closets. And their parents, David and Luis, were eventually convicted and are serving 25 years to life. So, nearly 5 years later, you'd think, fast forward, you'd be hearing a story of healing and redemption. But apparently, they went from one hell to another. Some of the children were placed in a home where foster parents Marcelino and Rosa Olguin and their adult daughter Lenny's abused them even more. A recent lawsuit alleges abuse that included forcing them to sit in a circle to recount their previous abuse, telling them they were worthless and no one cares about them, pulling their hair, hitting them with a belt, striking their heads, forcing them to eat excessive amounts of food until they threw up, and then forcing them to eat their vomit. Foster father was allegedly sexually abusing multiple female siblings, and that's not even everything. All three of the adults were arrested in November and are facing multiple charges. So my question: how in the fuck does this happen? How do we save children from such an awful situation only to have it continue or get worse? How does this happen? Let's start with Rob.
Oh, Rob, can't hear you.
Because I've got a nice fan going behind me, and I wanted to keep the noise down. But yeah, yeah, this is just awful. Those parents, I mean, just chemically neuter them and lock them up, and let the prison population take care of them. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time that we hear this kind of story, Neil, because
It's not.
children who fall into foster care fall prey to some unsavory characters who slip through the cracks through the vetting system. And I mean, child abusers are really the worst of the worst. I think we have a pretty clear consensus on the show about this. Um, uh, but with all of that being said, I do applaud foster families who take good care of their wards because they're a much needed resource in a system that's broken. But if you want better oversight, you need better resources and you need a good implementation plan. That the current system absolutely fails often enough that there needs to be some type of sweeping reform. They need more home inspections to root out abusers. They need better vetting systems to root them out. And there needs to be more boots on the grounds. At the end of the day, my heart goes out to these poor kids. And I hope that the lawsuit will help bring them some much needed reform and just some solace and some kind of healing for the family. But I hope it brings about some kind of reform in the system.
Yeah. What do you think, Johnny?
I almost feel like cases like this happen so that it can get so big that something can be done about it because this is insane. And for it to happen in just in 2018, like I was thinking, oh, 1996,
Yeah, I thought it was a while ago too, actually.
no, yeah, it just happened. It's extremely sad. I ended up getting a little bit hooked into it and watching some of the documentaries and stuff to know more about it. But this case was considered one of the worst cases of abuse in the United States. But I think to answer your question, Neil, how this could happen, well, clearly the system. It was
Mhm.
the child net and the foster care system more specifically. But um, like in regards to their previous case, like when they were with their family, I do think that it was people's lack of intuition because they kind of saw the kids in this scenario. They saw the kids were a little,
You're saying with their biological parents.
yeah, with their biological parents. I think that the people around them failed them. I think their neighbors, their aunts, uncle, like the people knew what was happening, or they didn't know for sure, but they let go of and negated any signs of things like that. So I think everybody failed them, but I think that these type of cases happen for a reason in the bigger scheme of things and the things that we don't know, because I think that it brings attention to one children and how these foster care is handling things like that.
Yeah. Dr. J?
It makes me angry. I mean, as a parent, I cannot imagine one, the first set of the abuse that the kids suffered under their parents. Like, how can you do this to a child? And then, secondly, to go into a system that's supposed to quote unquote rescue and save you, and then it abuses you too. And we hear, I mean, it's not the first time that we've heard about foster care abuse. These children are not looked after. These foster care workers are overworked. They're like have 10, 20, 30 cases to one person, and one person cannot simply do the oversight that's necessary. Um, it is just, just how broken these children could possibly be from this, because you have no, you're supposed to feel safe as a child. You're supposed to, somewhere, like someone is
Yeah.
supposed to make you feel safe. If it's not your parents, someone else is supposed to make you feel safe. And these children have been failed on all fronts. To speak with you, Gianni, about like, people, the other people around failing, I remember a very distinct case that happened here not too long ago of a family, and the children were found to be unalive later. But my
You said
son's,
unalive?
yes, unalive.
So
They
dead.
were found that they had been killed by the parents. My son's therapist lived next door to the person, and
Mm.
for a brief period of time. And she, recalled like when she found out, because the people had moved away, and that's when they had found them. So it means that during the
Wow.
period of time, though, when she lived next door to them, those children were
Ooh.
there. She said she never saw a child. She never knew there was a child in that
She didn't know
house.
there was a child there.
She
Wow.
didn't know at all. She spoke to the woman kind of as neighbors over the fence, but, didn't necessarily get too deep, wasn't invited into their home. So, not always, I mean, not always are the people around you privy to what's going on. But I know how devastated she was when she found out what happened, because she was like, if I knew there was a child in there, I would have done something. But she said, yeah, I never knew there was a child in there. And
Oh,
so it's just, I just, like I said, it just makes me angry on all points, on all sides. Like, one, these children were abused by their parents. Two, you go into a foster care situation, and these children reported this abuse
Yep,
to their person,
they did.
and this person
worker,
did
yeah.
not act on what was
For
going on. And
after they reported 3 years, they still kept them in that situation
yes, and
after the first
so,
report.
it's like foster care the system needs a complete overhaul. Even with the good families, they need
Yeah.
support. I have
Yeah.
friends who are foster parents, and they don't get the support that they need. So there's a complete overhaul that needs to happen. And if this lawsuit brings about that change, then I hope that they can start to heal.
I mean, how can
I
you
agree.
take a situation where you have, like you said, Gianni, one of the worst abuse cases in history, and you put those children into an abusive situation? If anything, they would be your poster children, right?
Yeah,
They
the
would be
one that
your
you
poster children, the ones that you saved, that as a company, as a city, as a county, whoever manages this foster care. I know we're out of time. I want to just get this thought out though.
Mhm.
But you would think that they would be poster children, that you would take care of them above and beyond even the ones that are in your system, which is a shame, but at the very least. So that tells me that the system is even worse than we think.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
if these should be your poster children for a successful foster care system, then what in the world are the ones who are not your poster children dealing with?
yeah,
Exactly.
Oh my god, this is
that's
and
scary.
we've heard about it for years, and I mean, you remember, I don't know if you remember Annie from the Broadway musical and the movie and all that stuff. I mean, matter of fact, I think I realized because I used to cry all the time when I'd watch that, the movie. back in the day. One of those movies that would make me cry as a kid, and I think that's
Aw.
affected me as an adult, realizing, children in orphanages and things like that, and that's why children, I think, mean so much to me, and of course, what I went through as a child. But, I
Mhm.
mean, this is ridiculous how you could go from, being locked up in cages and chained for most of your life to then even worse, sexual abuse. And then the same type of, abuse where you're being emotionally and physically abused. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And so I don't know what we do. I don't know how to figure this out or how to resolve the situation or how to fix the foster care system. I mean, we can advocate all we can want. We can yell and scream and get angry, but nothing seems to change over the years. I mean, it's been shoot back
We
in
need
the
more on the ground. I think Rob said it, or Dr. J. One of you guys said we
We
need more
both
people.
did.
Like people need to be on working on it. There's it's too much kids to one person working on it.
I
So
think
I
I
don't know.
think if I were to start not start, but or support, I need to start supporting more
yeah,
nonprofits, and I think that's the one I would focus on is child abuse.
I
Um,
have one small suggestion. The US government spent $801 billion on their defense budget last year. Can we just trim it down to an even 800 and give a billion to the kids? Just one?
um,
that would be great. We got a
and,
couple of comments
wow,
online we got to get in. So Sherry Blaine Savory says, absolutely have zero tolerance for child abuse. Where is the accountability? Parents punished for parents punished, sure, but the foster care system needs an overhaul. And she also said, excuse me, she also said the children were failed twice. Jacqueline Robinson, what kind of law and order SVU craziness is this? An
right?
overburdened foster care system is a breeding ground for predation and abuse. Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely
Mhm.
frustrating. All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Unfortunate, heartbreaking truth.
You got
This is straight up bullshit. This is
shenanigans in this
awful.
foster care
Awful,
system.
awful.
We need to fix this foster care system. What are you saying,
They do.
Dr. J?
Yeah, they are full of.
Can't
Yeah.
bullshit too. All right. All right. Yeah, we got to do something, guys. We got to do something. All right, Dr. J, you're going to be